warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Berlin, and in this PPT, I will present about journal analysis in course English for Knowledge and Information too. So, these are the points that I will present in this slide. For the first point is the title, second is aim or purpose, third is problem, fourth is literature, 5 is research method, 6 is results or findings, and the last is conclusion. So the first point is the title. The title of the journal is The Use of Audiolingual Method in Teaching Listening Comprehension at the Second Year Students of SMK Yapip Makassar Sungguh Minasa. And the next slide is aim or purpose. After doing observation, some teachers say that they still have difficulties to teach listening to students since students are not able to express what are on their minds because they lack of actual language. So to help the problems, one of the alternative methods is audiolingual teaching method. So the purpose for this journal is the objective of the study were to explain the student's ability to recognize word meaning in the context and to recognize the content of the text. And the next slide is problems. For the first is how is the student's ability to recognize word meaning in the context, and the second is how is the student's ability to recognize the content of the 10 literature from this journal. For the first is Brown, 1998, 137. Audiolingual teaching method is defined as a method which emphasizes on repetition of the words to help the students to be able to use the target language communicatively. Second is Ladoin Omikyo, 1986, 61. Using constructive the audiolingual method, also known as the oral functional skills, UK or American method of language teaching was considered as scientific approach in language teaching. The third is Larson, 2000. This text fiction with the traditional methods, their validity and adequacy, especially with their treatment of spoken language, led to the birth of the audiolingual method, which is based on the oral approach. The fourth is Highcraft, 2002. Audiolingual theory is derived from linguistics and psychology. And the fifth is Howard and Dakin, 1974. Listening is the ability to identify and understand what others are saying. And the sixth is Tomlinson's, 1984. Definition of listening includes active listening, which goes beyond comprehension as understanding the message content to comprehension as an act of empathic understanding of the speaker. And the seventh is from Gordon, 1984, argues that empathy is essential to listening and contents that is more than a polite attempt to identify a speaker's perspective. And for it is Ronald and Rosklee, 1984, define listening as an active process requiring the same skills of prediction, hypothesizing, checking, revising, and generalizing that writing and reading. And the ninth is Busra, 2001, describe the principle of the audiolingual method as follows. There's 10 point from Busra. Start from instruction, are given in the target language from a curated context, and students' native language enter as little as possible to students. Teaching is directed to provide students with a native speakers-like model. Analogy provides a better foundation for language learning than analysis. Errors are carefully avoided because they lead to the formation of bad habits. And the next is positive reinforcement helps the student to develop correct habits. Students are encouraged to learn to respond to verbal and non-verbal stimuli. The teacher is regarded as an orchestral leader conducting, guiding, and controlling the student's behavior in the target language. And the last is learning foreign language is treated on par with the native language. And the last literature is from Larson, 2045 until 50. Provides expanded description of some common or typical technique closely associated with the audio-lingual method, namely dialect memorization, expansion drill, repetition drill, chain drill, single thought substitution drill, multiple thought substitution drill, transformation drill, question and answer drill, use minimal pairs, complete the dialogue, and the last is grammar games. So the next is research method. The design of the research uses a collaborative classroom action research or CAR. This kind of research was designed by group which consists of teacher and researcher from educational university. So for the place of this research was in SMK Yapip Makassar. The samples in this research are the students at the second year of class 2 accountants. And the second is time. This research was conducted from February to May 2014. The research conduct the meeting for 4 times for each cycle. And the third is research cycles. Action research was so many repeated cycles, and there were at least 2 cycles in action research. Each cycle consists of 4 steps: planning, action, observation, and reflection. So, and the slide is result or findings. In the following table shows the student's ability to listen and comprehension in the diagnostic test, first cycle and second cycle. For the first cycle, indicator recognizing word meaning, cycle 1 is 214, cycle 2 is 226, and improvement is 56.1%. The table above shows the students' mean score in cycle 1 and cycle 2 in recognizing word meaning. In teaching process, the research applied audiovisual as a media to improve students' listening comprehension. And the second table is indicator recognizing the content of the text. Cycle 1 is 220, cycle 2 is 230, and improvement 44.5%. The table above shows the students' mean score in cycle 1 and cycle 2 in recognizing the content of the text. In teaching process, the research applied audiovisual as a media to improve students' listening comprehension. The data in cycle 1 indicates students' mean score is 220, and it improves in cycle 2 to be 230. By calculating the score, it shows the improvement from cycle 1 to cycle 2 is 45%. And the last is conclusion. So the conclusion is listening is one of the 4 basic skills in learning foreign language besides listening, reading, and writing. It has been taught since the students entered a junior high school. However, there are some difficulties faced by vocational school students to listen to the recording. After conducting the research, the students mean show the improvement in cycle 2. It is conclude that using audio-lingual could help to improve students' listening comprehension. Okay, maybe enough. Forgive for all my mistake. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.